We're here at the 86Duino booth looking at a new 3D printer that they've been working on. It's almost ready for release. As you might expect, 3D printing and all things 3D printing is sort of big at this year's Computex, but this caught my eye. It's a 100mm by 100mm by 50mm build volume. This is in prototype phase, but they're nearing ready to release it, sort of, kinda. The expected retail price is going to be around $330, something like that, $350, somewhere through there. But the accuracy that this thing is able to produce sort of has been really impressive. It does, the 0.1mm build volume, so it's, pretty standard issue as far as 3D printers go. The build volume is a little small, but it's accessible, and that's the important thing. That the cost has really been driven down. It has active cooling on the fans. It's single extrusion, but the simplicity of the mechanism and the repeatability of the prints, at least from looking at the demos that they have going here and looking at the things that they've printed out with it, it's really impressive. We're at the Thecus booth. I'm here with Lucas.
Hi everyone, welcome to the Thecus booth.
And we're going to take a look at the enterprise stuff. Now we've got a review coming up of some other stuff that's not quite the enterprise grade stuff, a new NAS, but while we were here we wanted to take a look at the new models. 10 gig Ethernet support for up to 6 terabyte drives at this point?
8 terabyte.
8 terabyte drives. We're working on the 10 terabyte drives, that should be soon. But the 8 terabyte drives are ready to go. And we've got daisy chaining support that works really well now. You can daisy chain 4 enclosures?
That's correct, 4 DAS units here are able to be connected using SAS cables.
Okay, awesome. So what's the max storage on that?
Right now, if you're using 8 terabyte hard drives, you have 1 NAS and 4 DAS, so you're going to be at about 640 terabytes for maximum capacity.
Oh wow, that's awesome. And that's with 10 gig Ethernet as well?
That is with 10 gig Ethernet, that's correct.
Awesome, cool. And so it's booted up here. This is sort of the default interface that you get. This is a Linux environment. And it's browser based, so you can get to this from anywhere. But if you actually plug in HDMI or whatever to your NAS, you can boot it up and sort of move around in the graphical environment to actually configure your NAS, keep an eye on it. If you want to set this up in the data center and just have it on the screen, you can totally do that. This is the NAS that we're going to take a look at in the office pretty soon. This is an upgrade over the model last year that we took a look at. The big new feature here is the battery backup, and I'm going to let Lucas tell you a little bit more about that.
All right, so this guy, just the basics. It's powered by a Bay Trail quad-core Intel processor and 4 gigabytes of DDR RAM. DDR3 RAM, sorry. The mini UPS battery here is basically a safeguard against any kind of power failure that you may have. So this will help you safely shut down all of your units, so if you have a power surge or the power goes out for any reason, your data is still safe and secure.
Yeah, this is really great. So on Linux, when you're using MD or the multi-disk thing, when it boots up, Linux is like, oh crap, I didn't have a clean shutdown. And it just starts immediately re-imaging a disk. With this, that prevents that. That basically means that when your NAS comes back online, it doesn't have to resync the disk, and so it's going to be really fast right out the gate, even after an unclean reboot. So we've got another piece of new technology. These are network attached storage, but the thing that's different here is these are actually running Windows Storage Server 2012 R2 Essentials, which is sort of interesting. Now, if you guys have been following our channel for a long time, those of you that wanted Windows Home Server or Windows Server in a home solution, you know that we'd recommended Windows Home Server, and then Microsoft updated Windows Home Server, and it was difficult for us to recommend that if you wanted to run Windows. Now, of course, we prefer Linux, but if you want a Windows solution, here it is. This is interesting in that these devices, at least the entry-level device, costs less for the device than you'll pay for the license on like a website for storage server by itself. So I'm going to let Lucas sort of fill us in on the feature set and what we're looking at with the different models. We've actually got 2 new models that are based on Bay Trail.
Bay Trail, that's right. Bay Trail, that's right. Oh, all right. So back to the old models really quick. The W2000, W4000, and W5000 Plus are all based on the Intel Atom processor and come with 4 gigabytes of DDR3 RAM. Now, the point for these are to offer an affordable, easy-to-use, cloud-ready storage for users who need a Windows Home Server. These are easily integrated with Microsoft Azure and Microsoft 365, making them a great product for people who have pre-existing Windows infrastructure. Now, the 2 newer units over here, the W4100 and the W5100, are using the Intel quad-core Bay Trail processor, and again they come with 4 gigabytes of RAM. These have a little bit more punch for people who have a lot of things that they need to do with their Windows Home Server.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, we definitely need to take a look at the feature set and see if Microsoft has sort of come back in terms of the features that are on Windows Home Server. And we sort of need to take these apart and void the warranty, as it were, and see what kind of upgrades we can do. And in the earlier models, with Linux, we were able to upgrade the RAM, of course, at the loss of our warranty. And so you guys may be able to upgrade these to 8 gigabytes of RAM. It may void the warranty, but if you need to run more stuff than just Windows Storage Server on your Windows Home Server, you could. So with Windows Storage Server 2012 R2, you do get ReFS support. You do get NIC teaming support with this out of the box. It's SMB multi-channel support, so we're talking about really serious performance. You've got client support for up to 50 users' devices. There's no client access licenses required or any of that nonsense, because Microsoft loves to charge on licenses. There's no client access licenses with this. It's also integrated with Windows Azure Backup, which is like basically sending it all to the cloud. If you've seen some of the other NASs that have we can back up the NAS to S3, well, instead of S3, it's going to go to Microsoft services. It also has integration with Office 365. So if you're in a Windows environment and you're looking for something that's like the old Windows Home Server, but has actually the modern feature set and the modern support for ReFS and data deduplication and storage spaces and that kind of thing, you can get that with this platform. iSG Industrial, you know the products, now know the name behind the products. So it turns out these guys OEM for a bunch of different companies, and they're really into storage solutions, case solutions, and high density storage solutions. This is sort of the new way. Sort of the old way is, let's put 24 drives in a 4U enclosure, blah, blah, blah. No, now it's sort of a storage server type situation. It's completely trayless, it's completely toolless, but you've got the backplane option here, and you've got the little rubber vibration dampeners. This is basically meant to be a drawer O hard drives, but the assembly and the sort of the technique here is not super complicated, and it's not super proprietary, which is what we like. You get the standard, SSI EEB, extended ATX, whatever you want to call it, option for the motherboard, so you can put whatever hardware you want in here. You've got the extended area for the power supply, so you can do the redundant ATX power supplies, that sort of thing, no problem. And then each group of 5 drives sort of has its own connector. Now the electronics are a little optional. You can do, mini SAS or SAS or whatever, but the storage here, this particular one is 5 drives per cable, so you would have to be careful about how you arrange the drives. This is optimized for storage rather than throughput, but we're talking about 45 drives in a relatively compact rack mount case.
I think we used to just said that we're looking at 5 drives per cable. Normally you'd only put 4 on there. So would you put one as a hot spare, so if one of the drives died, you just can automatically swap it out, since we've got 9 modules in here?
Yeah, we might do the hot spare thing. That's totally a thing, but depending on how you stripe your RAID, I don't think you're going to get too much competition for bandwidth across drives. I mean, with this many drives, you're obviously going to want RAID 6 with maybe RAID 6 with 3 drives, maybe 4 for failover. With ZFS, it would be a little bit of a different story, but they do offer different backplane configurations optimized for different storage workloads. But these are really popular for DVRs, video storage, that kind of thing, where you need a lot of storage with really cheap hard drives, but you don't necessarily need an insane amount of bandwidth. But if you do need an insane amount of bandwidth, there are backplane alternatives.
More iSG fun stuff here. This is the G336 or 336 ATX. It's an ATX board in the back, and then it's got 36 drives up front, and Wendell was pointing out a very interesting fact about this one.
Yeah, so if you're going to build a NAS with SSDs, you don't really need 3.5-inch bays. 2.5-inch bays is a far better bet. Look at this thing. It's 3Us, but you get 36 drives, and I'd say that they've probably got options for cramming even more drives than that in there, but this is a standard ATX case with 36 2.5-inch bays, and this thing is tiny. This thing would be, you could put a monitor on top of this and not even notice it's there. Trays are a thing of the past. Trays are obsolete. This is why. That's it. That's all you got. You got a bare drive. You're good to go. That's completely it. There's no tray involved here. This is the future.